The Man in the Water. On January 13th, 1982, a severe snowstorm hit Washington, D.C. The temperature fell to the mid teens. Driving snow made it hard to see. Flights out of Washington's National Airport were delayed while snowplows cleared the runways. Air Florida Flight 90, with its 79 passengers, was no exception. It was originally scheduled to depart at 2:15 p.m. Clearing the runways, however, took over an hour. At 3:37, the pilot was finally allowed to move the plane into position for takeoff, but 15 other planes were lined up ahead of it. Another 20 minutes went by before Flight 90 could roll out onto the runway. Flight 90 was waiting for the runways to be plowed. The ice that had formed on its wings was removed, but new ice began to form immediately. As the pilot waited for the 15 other planes to take off, the ice grew heavier. Ice buildup on the plane's wings is dangerous. It makes the plane heavier and disturbs the normal flow of air over the wings. Despite the fresh layer of ice, Flight 90 roared down the runway when its turn came at 3:59 p.m. As the jet took off, it shuddered. Something was wrong. It was not gaining altitude as it should. One of the passengers, who was also a pilot, said, "We're not going to make it." Meanwhile, traffic on the 14th Street Bridge over the Potomac River was heavy. It was rush hour, and the workers who lived outside the city were headed home. Suddenly, the blue, green, and white form of an Air Florida 727 appeared out of the clouds. Flight 90 was going down, and it was heading straight for the crowded bridge. The motorists on the bridge could do nothing but watch in horror as the plane fell from the sky and smashed across the northbound lane. The tops of several cars were sheared off. 4 motorists were killed before the plane plunged into the frigid Potomac. Many rescue workers arrived on the scene quickly. Their searchlights revealed a hideous sight. Many of the passengers could still be seen strapped in their seats at the bottom of the Potomac. Only 6 passengers were still alive. They clung to a piece of the tail section that stuck out of the water. One of the people was a balding man with a large mustache. He seemed to be more alert and less severely injured than any of the others. Speed was essential if the 6 were to be saved. A person can survive only a few minutes in such cold water. The rescue was made difficult by the fact that there was only enough room for one helicopter to get between the 14th Street Bridge and another bridge nearby. A rescue helicopter arrived and quickly lowered its lifeline and flotation ring to the balding man. The man grabbed it, but instead of using it for himself, he passed it to one of the other passengers. As the person was lifted out of the freezing water, the balding man fought to keep his grip on the tail section. His body temperature was dropping, and the numbing cold of the water was sapping his strength. When the rescue helicopter returned, the lifeline was again dropped to him. Bystanders watched in amazement as the man once again passed the lifeline to someone else. For the second time, he was giving up a chance to save himself in order to allow another person to be saved. After a nerve-wracking 10 minutes, the 3 other passengers had been taken safely to the shore. Only the balding man was left in the river. But when the helicopter returned, he was gone. He had been in the icy water too long. For several days, the selfless hero was known simply as the Man in the Water. No one knew who he was. But when the passenger list was compared with the description of the man, it was determined that he was Arland Williams, a 46-year-old bank examiner from Atlanta, Georgia. When Arland Williams boarded Flight 90, he was an ordinary person on an ordinary flight. There was nothing special about him. But at 4:01 p.m. on a stormy January day, when the plane he was on slammed into a bridge and tumbled into the Potomac, Williams chose to risk his life to save the lives of others. The Man in the Water became a national hero. He had given up his life so that others might live.